So this is interesting here. An article came out the other day that talks about how Jack Smith implied he's found Trump's motive for keeping all of those classified documents. So here's what they say here. Special counsel Jack Smith signaled that prosecutors know former President Donald Trump's motive for failing to relinquish a cache of classified documents before leaving the White House for Mar-a-Lago, a Washington Post columnist wrote Tuesday. Quote, that the classified materials at issue in this case were taken from the White House and retained at Mar-a-Lago is not in dispute. What is in dispute is how that occurred, why it occurred, what Trump knew, and what Trump intended in retaining them. All issues that the government will prove at trial primarily with unclassified evidence. Reads a government motion filed in court on Monday. It appears that the government is not only prepared to prove the how and the why that went into paper hoarding, but also what Trump knew and intended in retaining the precious documents once he left office after losing the 2020 presidential election to then President-elect Joe Biden. Washington Post writer Aaron Blake took quick notice of Smith's effort in the filed motion to publicly expose Trump's intent come trial. Quote, indeed, establishing a motive would seem to drive home the intention of Trump's actions and combat any arguments that this was all a misunderstanding or that Trump somehow didn't know what he had, which the government has taken care to undermine, Blake wrote. Okay, now the most innocent explanation is, look, man, he's just kind of like a hoarder, and he likes to keep things that remind him of when he was president. That is the most innocent explanation. Now, is that possible? Is that possible in this instance? Absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely possible that he took the documents because he wanted to take the documents because he's like a child who wants to show off his toys, right? And we already know he's showing people at Mar-a-Lago. He showed an Australian billionaire, hey man, look at what our highly classified nuclear submarines are capable of doing. Look how many warheads they can carry. Look how close they can get to an enemy submarine. Like that, it's possible that that's the reason. Now, if that is the reason, is he free to go? Is he off the hook? Did he do nothing wrong? No. Even in that scenario, that's still a crime, and that's still wrong. Admittedly, it is the more innocent explanation in terms of his motive and his intent, but that's still not allowed, right? And we know that on top of the main crimes here, there's also process crimes like obstruction of justice. Now that, it's going to be proven beyond any reasonable doubt whatsoever. It is the easiest layup of every layup case ever. I mean, told to turn it over, stonewalled them for a year. I mean, really got special treatment in the sense that he's the former president and they were like really kid gloves early on. And then finally gave some up but hid the rest, and they have the security footage of him moving it from one place to another place, or his workers doing that, and the workers flipped and said, yes, he made us move it from one place to another. So he's, look, dead to rights on the obstruction part, dead to rights on the fact that he has the documents, right? And by the way, these aren't like classified and top secret documents where it's debatable and maybe they shouldn't be classified or top secret. These are like nuclear secrets. These are like literal battle plans. Like, this is the stuff that actually should be classified and top secret. It's not like Edward Snowden. It's not like Chelsea Manning. It's not like, hey, this is the U.S. covering up our own war crimes and only classifying it because we're embarrassed if the world sees it. No, this is like, this stuff should be classified and top secret. And the fact that Jack Smith is saying, hey, we can prove intent, see, that leads me to believe it might not be the innocent explanation. That our kind of default assumption early on that, hey, maybe he's selling some of this information. Maybe they can prove that. Maybe they have correspondence. Maybe they can prove that beyond any reasonable doubt. Because look, the fact remains, guys. The fact remains. Jared Kushner took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. There was already reporting that he showed them classified information. And remember when Mohammed bin Salman rounded up all of his enemies, right? And like kept them in a hotel or something in Saudi Arabia? Like, the reporting indicated the reason he had any information about who are his enemies is because Jared Kushner was sharing with him classified information. So why did they give you $2 billion, Jared? What did you give them? That's worth $2 billion. I mean, crazy, right? In the case of Trump, the Saudi government has given him either tens of millions or maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars for his live golf events where they have him at many of Trump's courses and he gets paid for that directly. Well, what kind of an arrangement do you have set up? What are they getting in return? It's not just these golf events, right? What else is going on? And so I think it's possible he might be able to prove, yeah, he was selling this information. And here are the foreign governments he sold it to. Here are the business people he sold it to, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know yet, but the fact that Jack Smith is out there saying, I can prove intent, means maybe the intent was not the more innocent explanation of, I just wanted to like keep this stuff for memory's sake, right? So this is a big deal, man. This is a big deal. But look, we said it before, we'll say it again. Throughout all of Trump's time in office, how many times did you hear, oh, the walls are closing in, the walls are closing in, the walls are closing in? And guess what? It wasn't. It wasn't. With Russiagate, that was largely BS, which is why he got away unscathed, and there was nothing vis-a-vis a direct connection with Russia that was, you know, in the findings of the Mueller report. So he got away with that, right? There was no there. But now we already know there's a lot of there with a variety of these cases. The fraud case just crippled him. He's losing his business license in New York. That's a big deal. He's going to have to pay up to a $250 million fine. That's a big deal. And this is just the beginning. That was a civil trial. Now these are criminal trials, and he's in real trouble. That's for sure. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.